In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. So, this is the continuation of the same series, same vocabulary series. And today I'm going to share word number 101, that is brevity. Brevity means the quality of being brief and concise. Concise means short. Expressing ideas using few words. For example, brevity is highly valued in writing and speech where clarity and efficiency are important, such as an academic and professional or for example, the editor praised the brevity of the article, means the article was brief and giving all the information with brevity. Brevity in lectures helps students retain information better. Means if lectures are brief, if lectures are short and to the point, students can recall all the information later easily. So synonyms of brevity. The first is concision. Concision is made from concise. Concise, by using few words, you are conveying something briefly. So, concision is the quality of being concise, expressing much in few words. For example, the professor appreciated the concision of the students' answers. Concision in writing improves readability, means the readability of the article, readability of the writing will be improved if you use concise words. Compactness means the state of being brief, concise, or closely packed. The compactness of the summary made it easy to understand the topic quickly. Means if you are sharing your topic, if you are sharing the brief summary with compactness, with shorter details, with shortness of, means if you are sharing the summary with a few and important information, that will be good. The compactness of the speech impressed the audience. Crispness means clear, sharp, and brief expression. The crispness of her explanation impressed the audience. His email had the pleasing crispness that conveyed all necessary information. Means his email was not detailed and it was conveying all the information briefly. Economy of words. So you are economizing something means you are saving something. Using only as many words as necessary. Good academic writing often shows an economy of words. The politician's speech demonstrated an economy of words without using without directness. Directness is a straightforwardness in expression and lack of digression. For example, his directness in communication saved a lot of time in meeting. Directness in instructions ensures tasks are completed efficiently. Pithiness. Pithiness is also being concise. Concise and meaningful expression. Pithiness of the quote made it memorable. Pithiness in writing is often admired in journalism. Simplicity, the quality of being simple and easy to understand. The simplicity of the report helped readers grasp the idea easily. Simplicity in design enhances user experience. Clarity is a clearness in thoughts and expression. For example, clarity and brevity are essential in formal writing. The clarity of instructions prevented confusion. Precision. Precision is exactness and accuracy in expression. For example, the precision of her statement avoided confusion. Precision in language is valued in technical writing. The last one is summary. Summary is a brief statement that presents the main points. For example, the teacher asked to write the summary of the chapter. He prepared the summary of the meeting for those who missed it. So these are the synonyms of brevity. Brevity is being brief and concise. The first is concision, compactness, crispness, economy of words, directness, pithiness, simplicity, clarity, and precision, and summary. So antonyms of brevity, obviously lengthiness. Lengthiness is the quality of being long and extended in words or time. For example, the lengthiness of a speech bored the audience. Lengthiness in essays can dilute the main argument. Means if you are writing your essays lengthy and if you are using too many words, if your essays are not brief and written with brevity, so you will miss the main points and reader will not focus on your main points, what you want to convey. So use when necessary, and you can also say verbosity. Verbosity is also wordiness. Verbosity means you are using many words. Wordiness can make essays difficult to read. The editor removed unnecessary wordiness from the manuscript. Loquacity is also talkativeness. Loquacity, loq is related to speech. This is the root word that is related to speech, means you are speaking. So loquacity is talkativeness when you are using too many words and when you are talking so much, and tendency to use many words. For example, his loquacity made the lecture tedious. Tedious means boring. When the person is using too many words, that lecture will be tedious and boring. Loquacity is not always appreciated in formal writing. Prolixity is also extended to great length, and that is tediously long. Criticize the prolixity of the students' essays. Prolixity in novels can bore readers. Prolixity in novels means when the novels are too much lengthy, you cannot focus. Verbosity is excessive use of words. For example, the report's verbosity masks the main opinions. Mask means hide. When too many words are used, you cannot focus on the main points. For example, verbosity can reduce the impact of the message. Expansion is also the act of lengthening or enlarging content. For example, the author provided an expansion of the idea in a next paragraph. Expansion of unnecessary details can make essays less readable. Elaborateness is the quality of being overly detailed or complex. For example, the elaborateness of the explanation made the topic complex. Elaborateness in design can confuse readers. Diffuseness is also a lack of conciseness, spread out over many words. For example, diffuseness in writing often weakens the main argument, and the diffuseness of his speech made it hard to follow. Redundancy is also unnecessary repetition in writing or speech. Redundancy should be avoided in academic writing, means you are writing academically, you must not be redundant. You must not reuse repetition or repeated words. The report contained redundancy that needed editing. Rambling is also speaking or writing in lengthy, wandering manner. For example, the rambling speech confused the listeners, and rambling essays often fail to convey the main points. Long explanation is also extended and wordy explanation. A long explanation is not always necessary to make a point. The teacher advised against long explanation in exams. Detailedness is also using excessive detail or lengthy description. For example, the detailedness of the report made it very lengthy. The detailedness can overwhelm readers when simplicity is preferred. Excessiveness is also going beyond what is necessary or overabundance. Abundance means overuse of something. Excessiveness in writing may reduce readability. Excessiveness in decoration can spoil the design. Means if you are decorating something simply, so everyone will focus on your design or decoration. If you are using excessive things, so your design will be spoiled. So these are the antonyms. First, lengthiness, wordiness, loquacity, prolixity, verbosity, expansion, diffuseness, redundancy, rambling, long explanation, detailedness, and excessiveness. 102. Brutal. Brutal is that is extremely cruel, violent, or harsh. That the act that is not showing any mercy. It is often used to describe acts, behaviors, and conditions that are harsh, violent, or lacking compassion. For example, the brutal attack shocked everyone. The movie depicted the brutal reality of war. So synonyms of brutal: ruthless. Ruthless is having no pity or compassion, willing to do anything to achieve a goal. Means you are not compassionate, you are ruthless. The ruthless dictator showed no mercy to his enemies. She was ruthless in business negotiations, leaving no room for compromise. In business negotiations means you are not focusing, you are not paying heed to the suggestion of any other person. Merciless is never showing no mercy or compassion. For example, the merciless storm destroyed many homes. The coach was merciless in criticizing the players' mistakes. Barbaric is extremely cruel, civilized, and primitive. The barbaric punishment was condemned by society. The villagers spoke of barbaric raids by invaders. Inhumane is also lacking compassion for humans or animals, and inhumane also means cruel. The prisoners were kept in inhumane conditions. The factory was shut down for inhumane treatment of workers. Ferocious is also extremely violent, fierce, or intense. For example, the ferocious animal attacked without warning. The ferocious debate lasted for hours. Bloodthirsty is eager to shed blood, extremely violent or vengeful. The bloodthirsty warrior sought revenge at any cost. The novel depicted a bloodthirsty king who ruled with terror. Callous is emotionally hardened, showing no concern for others' sufferings. For example, his callous attitude towards suffering was disturbing. The callous landlord refused to fix the broken heating system. Cold-blooded is the person who deliberately do cruelty or without any emotion. The cold-blooded decision left many families devastated. Fierce is also violent, intense, or aggressive. For example, the fierce annexation of Gaza lasted for several hours. She showed fierce determination to succeed. Cruel hearted is having a heart lacking kindness or compassion, extremely unkind. The cruel hearted ruler ignored the pain of his people. The cruel hearted landlord evicted tenants without warning. So these are synonyms. Synonyms are ruthless, merciless, barbaric, inhumane, ferocious, bloodthirsty, callous, cold blooded, fierce, and cruel hearted. Let's discuss antonyms. So, compassionate is the antonym of brutal. Compassionate is showing concern or empathy or mercy for others. For example, the compassionate nurse cared deeply for her patients. He was compassionate towards the victim of the disaster in Gaza. Benevolent is kind and charitable. The benevolent man helped the poor generously. The organization is benevolent, providing aid to the children in need. Merciful is also the person who is showing mercy, forgiving, and lenient. The judge was merciful in his decision. She was merciful toward the student who made mistakes. Tender is also gentle, kind, and sensitive. She gave a tender response to the child's problem. The mother gave her injured son a tender hug. Sympathetic is also feeling or showing understanding and compassion. The teacher was sympathetic to the students' difficulties. He was sympathetic towards the victims of the blood. Considerate is thoughtful and attentive to the needs of others. He is always considerate to others' feelings. Being considerate, she offered her seat to the elderly woman. Loving means full of affection and care. A loving parent supports their children in every situation. His loving nature made him popular among his peers. Caring is showing concern or kindness toward others. She is caring friend who always listens. The caring doctor comforted her patients. Gentle hearted is kind, tender, and sensitive in nature. The gentle hearted woman helped injured animals. His gentle hearted nature made him approachable to all. Kind hearted is also having a sympathetic and generous nature. The kind hearted stranger offered help immediately. The kind hearted volunteer donated her time to the orphanage. So, antonyms are compassionate, benevolent, merciful, tender, sympathetic, considerate, loving, caring, gentle hearted, or kind hearted. Next word we have 103, that is brusque. Brusque is rudely abrupt, blunt, or short in manner or speech. For example, it is used to describe communication that is unexpectedly curt, short, abrupt, or sometimes giving an impression of rudeness. For example, his brusque reply upset her. The receptionist's brusque manner discouraged further questions. Synonyms of brusque. Abrupt. Abrupt is sudden and unexpected, curt in manner. For example, she gave an abrupt answer and ended the conversation. His abrupt departure left everyone confused. Next is curt. Curt is rudely brief or short in speech or manner. For example, his curt response made the situation uncomfortable. The teacher's curt instructions left the student bewildered. Blunt is also direct and straightforward, often without tact. He was blunt in criticism of the report. Her blunt remarks offended some members of the audience. Rude is also impolite as discourteous. It is rude to interrupt someone while they are speaking. His rude behavior embarrassed everyone at the dinner. Short tempered is the person who is easily annoyed or irritated. For example, his short tempered behavior affects his relationships. Being short tempered, he snapped at his colleagues over minor mistakes. Snappish is also irritable and inclined to respond sharply. She became snappish when asked too many questions. The manager was snappish after a long day at work. Grumpy is bad tempered or irritable. For example, he sounded grumpy early in the morning. The grumpy neighbor complained about the children playing outside. Sharp is abrupt, critical, or cutting in speech or tone. His sharp tone surprised the team. The editor's sharp remarks made the author reconsider the draft. Terse is also brief and to the point, often perceived as abrupt. For example, the manager gave a terse reply during the meeting. Her terse email left little room for discussion. Impolite is not showing good manners and disrespectful. For example, ignoring guests is considered impolite. It is impolite to speak loudly in the library. Antonyms of brusque. Polite is showing good manners and respect toward others. For example, she is always polite to her colleagues. Being polite improves social interactions. Courteous is a polite, respectful, and considerate in manner. For example, the staff were courteous to all visitors. A courteous reply can prevent misunderstanding. Gentle is mild, kind, and soft in behavior or tone. He spoke in a gentle voice to calm the child. Her gentle touch reassured the frightened animal. Respectful is showing regard and consideration for others. For example, students should be respectful to their teachers. He was respectful towards the elders at all times. Civil is humane, courteous, and polite in behavior or speech. Despite disagreement, they remain civil in discussion. It is important to stay civil during the debates. Gracious is also showing kindness, courtesy, and warmth. For example, she gave a gracious reply to criticism. The host was gracious in welcoming the guests. Well mannered is also being polite and behaving appropriately. Well mannered students are appreciated in every classroom. Amiable is friendly, pleasant, and easy to talk to. His amiable nature makes him easy to talk to. The amiable teacher encourages students to ask questions. Considerate is thoughtful of others' feelings or needs. For example, she is considerate of others' feelings. Being considerate, he awaited for everyone to finish speaking. Kind is showing kindness, generosity, or care. A kind response can improve any situation. She is always kind to animals and strangers alike. So, this word is brusque. So this word is brusque, and synonyms of brusque: abrupt, curt, blunt, rude, short-tempered, snappish, grumpy, sharp, terse, and impolite. Antonyms: polite, courteous, gentle, respectful, civil, gracious, well-mannered, amiable, considerate, and kind. The fourth word is bystander. Bystander is a person who watches an event without participating, and you can say bystander is an observer. It is commonly used in contexts such as accidents, events, or social situations to describe someone present but not actively involved. Just like in the picture, you can have a look. A disabled person is fallen down, but everybody is busy in capturing the photos and videos. For example, the bystander reported the accident to the authorities. Many bystanders remained silent while the argument escalated. Observer, someone who watches carefully without participation. The observer carefully noted everything happening in the experiment. Observers of the debate recorded the speaker's gestures and tones. Spectator, a person who watches an event, usually sports or performance. The spectators cheered loudly during the match. Thousands of spectators attended the festival. Witness is someone who sees an event, often for testimony. The witness gave a statement to the police. She was the only witness to the accident. Onlooker is also a person who watches something happen without being involved. For example, a crowd of onlookers gathered at the scene. The onlookers were curious but did not intervene. Viewer is also a person who watches a show, program, or broadcast. For example, the viewers watched the live broadcast attentively. Many viewers called in with questions during the program. Passerby is a person who happens to be passing by location. For example, a passerby helped the injured man. Passerby stopped to see what had happened. Looker on is also someone who watches an event without participating. He remained on looker on during the heated argument. The lookers on did not interfere even when the fight started. Eyewitness is also a person who directly sees an event take place. The eyewitness described the incident. Eyewitness provided critical evidence to the investigation. Non-participant is a person not taking part in an activity or event. For example, as a non-participant, she simply observed the discussion. Non-participants are often asked to remain silent during experiments. Antonyms of bystander. Participant is someone who actively takes part in any activity. Participants contributed ideas during the brainstorming session. Actor is a person who takes action or plays a role in situation. For example, he was an active actor in the entire process. Actors in the community meeting suggested practical solution. Doer is also someone who focuses on observation. For example, a doer focuses on action rather than observation. Performer is a person who actively carries out or execute tasks. The performer impressed the audience with his skills. Performer in the play rehearsed for several weeks before opening night. Contributor is someone who adds efforts, ideas, or resources. For example, she was a major contributor to the project. Contributors to the discussions helped refine the plan. Participant observer is someone who engages in activity while observing it. For example, unlike a bystander, participant observer engages in activity. Anthropologists often act as participant observer in field of study. Engager is a person who actively involved in actions or discussions. An engager actively takes part in discussion. Engager contribute in solving problems rather than merely watching it. So this word is bystander, and synonyms are observer, spectator, eyewitness, onlooker, viewer, passerby, looker on, eyewitness, non-participant. And antonyms: participant, actor, doer, performer, contributor, participant observer, and engager. Fifth word is candid. So this word is candid, that is honest, straightforward, and free from any deceit, open in expression. It is often used to describe speech, opinion, or feedback or behavior that is sincere and unpretentious. For example, she gave a candid opinion about the new policy. The photographer captured candid moments of the wedding without posing. Synonyms of candid: frank is open, honest, or straightforward in speech or manner. He gave a frank response during the interview. Her frank criticism helped improve this report. Sincere is a genuine, honest, and free from pretense. Her sincere apology was accepted. He expressed sincere gratitude for the help received. For Open is willing to share thoughts or feelings freely. She was open about her feelings. The manager maintained an open dialogue with the staff. Truthful is also, that is accurate and honest in words or actions. Straightforward and honest is also a person who is easy to understand, who do not deceive others or commit any kind of fraud. And next is unreserved, that is expressing oneself freely without holding back. He made an unreserved statement about the issue. Her unreserved support encouraged the team. Transparent is open and clear with no hidden motives. For example, the process should be transparent to avoid confusion. Transparent policies build trust among employees. Plain spoken is also using simple, honest, or direct language. The plain spoken leader communicated clearly with the public. Plain spoken advice often has more impact than speeches. Antonyms: dishonest is not truthful or trustworthy. For example, a dishonest person cannot be trusted, and deceptive is misleading or giving false impressions. For example, tactics can ruin the company's reputation. Biased is also showing unfair preference or prejudice. For example, biased reviews can mislead potential customers. Evasive is avoiding direct answers or giving unclear responses. She gave an evasive answer to avoid the question. Politicians often give evasive policies during the debates. Untruthful is also not honest or accurate. Untruthful means someone who is lying. Secretive is inclined to keep things hidden, and hypocritical is pretending to have beliefs, feelings, or virtues one does not possess. For example, his hypocritical behavior confused his colleagues. It is hypocritical to criticize others while doing the same. Reserved is restrained, quiet, or not openly expressing thoughts or feelings. For example, she was reserved and did not express her true thoughts. Next word is canvas. Canvas means to solicit support, opinions, or votes to examine or discuss carefully. For example, it is used in political campaigns, research, marketing, or any situation requiring inquiry or gathering opinions. Example: they canvassed the neighborhood to gather support. The team canvassed public opinion before launching the campaign. Investigate is to examine facts systematically to discover the truth. For example, scientists investigate natural phenomena to gain knowledge. Survey is to collect data or opinions from a group. For example, a survey was conducted to understand public opinion. And inspect is also to examine closely for quality, condition, or compliance. The officer inspected the building for safety. And next is examine. Examine means to study or look at something carefully in detail. And probe is also to investigate deeply and thoroughly. Authorities probed the causes of the accident. Inquire is to ask for information formally or politely. For example, she inquired about the admission process. And interview is to formally question someone to gather information. For example, the manager will interview candidates tomorrow. Poll is to collect votes, opinions, or feedback. The agency polled voters before elections. Scrutinize is to examine very carefully and critically. For example, the auditor scrutinized financial records. So these are the synonyms of canvas. Canvas means investigate, survey, inspect, examine, probe, inquire, interview, poll, or scrutinize. And antonyms are ignore. Ignore is to pay no attention to something intentionally, and neglect is also to fail to care for or give attention to something. For example, plants will die if you neglect them. Overlook is to fail to notice something, often unintentionally. For example, mistakes can occur if we overlook facts. Disregard is to intentionally ignore or pay no attention to. For example, a disregarded advice from experts. Avoid is to stay away from something deliberately, and bypass is also to go around or avoid something, often a procedure or obstacle. For example, the manager bypassed formal procedures. Dismiss is to reject or refuse to consider something. For example, he dismissed the proposal quickly. Skip is to leave out or not do something intentionally. Do not skip important topics. Omit is to leave out something deliberately, especially in writing or reporting. For example, important details were omitted. The last one is forget. Forget is to fail to remember or consider something. For example, I forgot to bring my book. So, antonyms of canvas are ignore, neglect, overlook, disregard, avoid, bypass, dismiss, skip, omit, or forget. Next word we have is caprice. Caprice means a sudden or unpredictable change of mood, behavior, decision, acting on impulse rather than for example, it is used to describe whimsical, impulsive, or erratic behavior in personal, artistic, or social context. For example, his decision to quit the job was caprice. The artist's style changes were driven by pure caprice. Synonyms. Whim. Whim is a sudden desire or change of mind without any reason. For example, his travel plans were based on whim rather than planning. Fancy is also a sudden liking or attraction to something. He took a fancy to a new car. Impulse is a sudden urge to act without thinking. For example, buying that expensive phone was an impulse decision. Spur of the moment is done suddenly without planning. For example, it was a spur of the moment decision to travel. Notion is a sudden or vague idea or belief. He had a notion to start a business. Means he has not a confirmed idea. Sudden urge is an unexpected desire to do something. For example, his sudden urge led him to make a quick decision. Vagary is an unpredictable or erratic change in behavior. For example, life is full of vagaries. Inconstancy is lack of stability or consistency in behavior or feelings. For example, his inconstancy made him unreliable. Fickleness is also a frequent change of mind, loyalty, or behavior. The fickleness of public opinion is common. Flightiness is a lack of seriousness or stability, changing quickly. For example, his flightiness prevented him from succeeding. So, this word is caprice. Caprice means whim, fancy, impulse, spur of the moment, notion, sudden urge, vagary, inconstancy, fickleness, and flightiness. And antonyms are stability. Stability is the state of being steady and consistent. For example, the company maintained financial stability. Consistency is the quality of being uniform, reliable, or steady. Consistency leads to success. Steadiness is also firmness and reliability in behavior or emotion. Her steadiness helped her overcome challenges. Reliability is the quality of being dependable. For example, reliability is valued in employees. Constancy is faithfulness, stability, or permanence over time. Constancy is a sign of strong character. Firmness is strong and steady attitude or decision. Firmness is necessary for leadership. Persistence is continuing firmly despite difficulties. For example, her persistence paid off in the end. Determination is strong will to achieve something despite obstacle. His determination inspired others. Balance is stability between different elements. For example, we can also say moderation is synonym of balance. She maintains balance in her work and study. Control is the ability to manage emotions, actions, or impulses. Self control is important in difficult situations. So, we discussed caprice, means whims, fancy, impulse, spur of the moment, notion, sudden urge, vagary, consistency, inconsistency, fickleness, flightiness, and antonyms. Stability, consistency, steadiness, reliability, constancy, firmness, persistence, determination, balance, control. Next, we have captivity. Captivity is the state of being imprisoned, confined, or kept under control. For example, it refers to physical, social, or even psychological restrictions used for humans, animals, or abstract conditions like mental captivity. For example, the animal lived in captivity for many years. The prisoner longed to escape captivity. Synonyms. Imprisonment is the act of putting someone in prison. The law allows imprisonment for serious offenses. For example, bondage is the state of being bound or enslaved. The workers lived in economic bondage. Confinement is the state of being kept within limits. Confinement affected his mental health. Detention is the act of holding someone in custody. A prolonged detention raised concerns. Incarceration is also the state of being jailed. His incarceration lasted 10 years. Restraint is a limitation on freedom or movement. For example, she showed restraint in difficult situation. Enslavement is also the condition of being treated as a slave. Enslavement denied basic human rights. Custody is a protective care or control by authority. For example, the child remained in custody of her parents. Seclusion is being isolated from others. Seclusion helped her focus on work. Internment is also detaining people, especially during war. Many were placed in internment camps. So this word is captivity, means imprisonment, bondage, confinement, detention, incarceration, restraint, enslavement, custody, seclusion, and internment. Antonyms of captivity is freedom. Freedom is the state of being free. For example, freedom allows people to express themselves. Liberty is the right to act as one chooses. For example, liberty is fundamental human right. Independence is a freedom from control or influence. Financial independence is important. Release is the act of setting someone or something free. The prisoner was granted release. Emancipation is the act of being set free from restrictions. Education leads to emancipation. Autonomy is self-governance or independence. For example, the region demanded autonomy. Free will is the ability to choose freely. Humans act according to free will. Unrestrained is a lack of restriction or limitation. Unrestrained act can lead to chaos. Escape is a breaking free from confinement. Books provide an escape from reality. Deliverance is a rescue or liberation from danger. For example, they prayed for deliverance from hardship. So this word is captivity, means imprisonment, bondage, confinement, detention, incarceration, restraint, enslavement, custody, seclusion, internment. And antonyms are freedom, liberty, independence, independence, release, emancipation, autonomy, free will, unrestrained act, escape, or deliverance. So our ninth word is catastrophe. A catastrophe is a sudden and widespread disaster or misfortune. For example, it is used for natural disaster, personal tragedies, or large-scale failures. For example, the earthquake was a catastrophe for the city. Losing the championship at the last minute was a personal catastrophe. Synonyms of catastrophe is disaster. Disaster is an event causing great damage or loss. For example, the fire caused a major disaster in the village. Calamity is an event causing great misfortune or suffering. For example, his financial collapse turned into a personal calamity. Tragedy is a sad event causing suffering or death. For example, it was a tragedy that so many lives were lost. Next, cataclysm is a violent or sudden event causing destruction. Political unrest led to social cataclysm. Mishap is a minor accident or unfortunate event. For example, there was a mishap and there was a small mishap during the game. Havoc is a widespread destruction or disorder. The storm wreaked havoc across the town. Misfortune is bad luck or unlucky event. Losing the bag was a misfortune. Cataclysmic event is an event causing massive disruption or destruction. For example, the asteroid impact was a cataclysmic event of our Earth. Fiasco is a complete failure, especially in public. Their plan turned into a fiasco due to poor preparation. Antonyms of catastrophe. Blessing, something bringing happiness or benefit. The rain was blessing for the farmers. Fortune is a good luck or success. He made a fortune in the stock market. Prosperity is the state of being successful or thriving. Her prosperity allowed her to support charitable causes. Triumph is great victory or achievement. His triumph over adversity inspired others. Well being is a state of health, happiness, or comfort. For example, meditation promotes mental well being. Safety is freedom from danger or harm. For example, safety measures prevented accidents. So, this word is catastrophe, means disaster, calamity, tragedy, cataclysm, mishap, havoc, misfortune, cataclysmic event, fiasco, and antonyms are blessing, fortune, prosperity, triumph, well being, and safety. Next, we have the word caress. Caress means a gentle, loving, or affectionate touch. For example, it is used in physical, emotional, or figurative context to show tenderness or affection. The mother caressed her baby to soothe him. Synonyms. Embrace is to hold someone closely in arms, also used figuratively for ideas or situation. For example, he embraced the new opportunity with enthusiasm. Fondle is to touch gently in tender or loving way. The mother fondled her child's hair while reading a story. Stroke is also to move one's hand gently over a surface or person. She stroked the cat's fur loving. Pat is to touch lightly and repeatedly with the hand. For example, he patted the child on the back for encouragement. Soothe is to gently calm or comfort someone. Her voice soothed his anxious mind. Tenderize is a figurative word and it is used figuratively. For example, to make something gentle or soft can be literal. For example, it is used for meat, to make meat tender, or figurative, it is used to for hard. For example, her words tenderized his hardened heart. Tenderize means to soothe, to calm someone's heart. The chef tenderized the meat before cooking. Brush is to touch lightly, usually with a hand or object. He brushed her arm gently. The soft wind brushed her hair across her face. Nuzzle is also to gently rub or push with the nose or face, for example, often used for animals or affectionate gestures. He nuzzled her cheek tenderly. Pet is to stroke or caress affectionately. For example, she petted her dog every morning. He petted the baby to keep her calm. Antonyms of caress. Reject is to refuse to accept, consider, or approve. For example, she rejected his offer politely. Shove is to push roughly or abruptly. She shoved the book onto the shelf angrily. Strike is to hit or deliver a blow. For example, he struck the table in anger. Spurn is to reject with disdain or contempt. His suggestion was spurned by the team. Repel is to drive away or resist. His rude behavior repelled everyone. Avoid is to stay away from someone or something. For example, he avoided her after the argument. Detach is to separate or remove from connection. He detached the poster from the wall. Withdraw is to take back or move away. For example, he withdrew his hand from the hot surface. So this word is caress. Caress means embrace, fondle, stroke, pet, soothe, tenderize, brush, nuzzle, pet, and antonyms reject, shove, strike, spurn, repel, avoid, detach, and withdraw. Next word we have is cease. Cease is to stop, to bring or come to an end. It is used in both formal and informal context for ending actions, processes, or events. For example, hostilities finally ceased after the peace agreement. Synonyms. Stop. As you know, stop is to come to an end or halt. The machine stopped working suddenly. Quit is also to leave or discontinue doing something. She quit her job last week. And halt is to stop movement or action immediately. For example, the soldier halted at the checkpoint. Discontinue is to stop doing. For example, The company discontinued that product line. Terminate is to bring something to end, official end. This word is used officially. For example, the program was terminated after poor performance. Conclude is to bring to an end after discussion or process. We concluded the experiment after 2 weeks. Suspend is to temporarily stop. His license was suspended temporarily. Desist is to stop doing something, often by order. They were ordered to desist from illegal activities. Relinquish is to voluntarily give up. He relinquished control of the company. Antonyms. Continue is to keep going without stopping. The work continued despite difficulties. Commence is to begin formally. The ceremony will commence shortly. Resume is to start again after a pause. The game resumed after the rain. Persist is to continue despite difficulty. The team persisted until success. Proceed is to move forward or continue. They proceeded with plan. Advance is to move forward or make progress. Technology continues to advance rapidly. Activate is to start a process. He activated the alarm system. Trigger is to cause something to begin. The announcement triggered protests. So this word is cease, means stop, quit, halt, discontinue, terminate, conclude, suspend, desist, relinquish. Antonyms: continue, commence, resume, persist, proceed, advance, activate, and trigger. Next word we have is cede. Cede means to give up, surrender, or formally hand over power, for example, territory or rights. It is commonly used in political, legal, or formal context. For example, the king ceded the land to the neighboring country. The company ceded control of the subsidiary to its partner. Synonyms: surrender is to give up or yield to another. For example, the army surrendered after a long battle. The country yielded the territory under the treaty. Relinquish is to voluntarily give up. He relinquished his claim to the property. Transfer is to move ownership or responsibility. The property was transferred to his son. Abdicate is to formally give up a position or a throne. The king abdicated in favor of his son. Concede is to admit or surrender reluctantly. For example, the candidate conceded defeat gracefully. Forgo is to do without voluntarily. She decided to forgo desert. Abandon is to give up completely. He abandoned his plan due to lack of support. Resign is to give up a position. She resigned from her post as manager. Grant is to give formally or legally. The government granted land to settlers. Antonyms: retain is to keep possession. He retained control of his company. Keep is to continue holding. She kept all the letters. Hold is to maintain control. The nation held the territory for centuries. Preserve is to maintain in original state. They preserved the ancient manuscripts. Maintain is to continue in a certain state. The company maintained highly standards. Withhold is to refuse to give. The company withheld the bonus. Guard is to protect or secure. The soldiers guarded the palace. Control is to exercise authority over. He controlled the team's decisions. Possess is to have ownership. He possessed a rare collection of coins. Command is to have authority over. The general commanded the troops. So this word is cede. Cede means surrender, yield, relinquish, transfer, abdicate, concede, forgo, abandon, resign, grant. And antonyms are retain, keep, hold, preserve, maintain, withhold, guard, control, possess, and command. Next word we have is celebrated. Celebrated is widely known, admired, and respected for achievements or qualities. For example, it is used for people, works, events, or accomplishments. He is a celebrated author of historical novels. Synonyms. Renowned is a widely acclaimed or famous. She is renowned scientist in her field. Notable is worthy of attention or remarkable. She made a notable contribution to the project. Distinguished is a successful and respected. He is a distinguished professor. Eminent is a highly respected or of high rank. Eminent scientist attended the seminar. Acclaimed is a publicly praised. The movie was critically acclaimed. Prominent is important and well known. He is a prominent figure in politics. Famed is widely known. The city is famed for its architecture. Legendary is extremely famous, often admired. The legendary athlete broke records. Antonyms are celebrated. Obscure is not widely known. For example, the obscure poet was discovered later. Modest is not widely recognized. For example, she lived a modest life. Nameless is without recognition. The nameless soldier sacrificed his life. Anonymous is not identified by name. The anonymous donor helped the hospital. Undistinguished is lacking distinction. His career remained undistinguished. Ignored is not given attention. Her ideas were ignored initially. And minor is not important or prominent. He played a minor role. So this is celebrated, and synonyms are renowned, notable, distinguished, eminent, acclaimed, prominent, famed, legendary, and antonyms are obscure, modest, nameless, anonymous, undistinguished, ignored, and minor. Censor is showing a strong disapproval or criticism, often formally expressed. It is used in professional, legal, or a political or social context. For example, the teacher censored the careless student for late submission. The senator faced censor for his controversial remarks. And synonyms. Blame is to hold responsible for a fault. He blamed his assistant for the mistake. Condemn is to express strong disapproval. For example, the committee condemned the illegal actions. Rebuke is to sharply criticize. The principal rebuked the students. Reprimand is to officially scold. He was reprimanded for breaking rules. Criticizes to point out faults. The viewer criticized the movie. Chide is to scold mildly. She chided her brother for being careless. Reproof is to express disapproval gently. For example, the teacher reproved the student. Upbraid is to scold severely. The manager upbraided the staff. Denounce is to publicly condemn. Activists denounced corruption. Reproach is to express disappointment. She reproached her friend. Antonyms. Approve is to accept or agree. For example, the manager approved the policy. Acclaim is to publicly praise. The novel was acclaimed worldwide. Applaud is to show approval. The audience applauded the speaker. Honor is to recognize formally. The scientist was honored. Celebrate is to publicly acknowledge achievements. They celebrated the victory. Endorse is to support or approve. The company endorsed the policy. Compliment is to express admiration. She complimented his speech. And admire is to respect or approve warmly. I admire her dedication. So this word is censor, means blame, condemn, rebuke, reprimand, criticize, chide, reprove, upbraid, denounce, reproach, and antonyms. Approve, commend, acclaim, applaud, honor, celebrate, endorse, compliment, and admire. Next we have ceremonious. Ceremonious is something that is characterized by formalities, rituals, or proper etiquette marked by dignity or formality. For example, it is used for events, behaviors, or actions that are highly formal or ritualistic. For example, the ceremony was very ceremonious with every protocol followed. He gave a ceremonious bow before addressing the audience. Synonyms. Formal is following established rules or etiquette. They wore formal attire to the official dinner. Ritualistic is performed according to the ritual. The ritualistic practices were observed during the festival. Dignified is showing seriousness and respect. She remained a dignified. She maintained a dignified silence. Stately is majestic and impressive. The stately Manson impressed visitors. Pompous is excessively formal or self important. His pompous behavior annoyed colleagues. Grand is impressive in style or scale. They held a grand banquet. Solemn is serious and formal. The ceremony had a solemn atmosphere. Proper is conforming to etiquette. For example, it is proper to dress formally. Courteous is polite and respectful. He gave a courteous bow. So decorous is polite and in good taste. For example, their decorous behavior impressed guests. Antonyms of ceremonious. Informal is casual and relaxed. They had an informal gathering, and casual is not concerned with formality. For example, he wore casual clothes. Relaxed is free from formality. For example, the party had a relaxed atmosphere. Unceremonious is without formalities or abrupt. He made an unceremonious exit, means abrupt exit. Spontaneous is done without planning. The applause was spontaneous. Familiar is friendly and informal. He spoke in a familiar tone. Unpretentious is simple and modest. The host was unpretentious. Easygoing is relaxed in attitude. He has an easygoing personality. Simple is plain and uncomplicated. They held a simple wedding. Modest is not grand or showy. She lived a modest life. So this word is ceremonious, meaning formal, ritualistic, dignified, stately, pompous, grand, solemn, proper, courteous, and decorous. And antonyms: informal, casual, relaxed, unceremonious, spontaneous, familiar, unpretentious, easygoing, simple, and modest. Next word is cessation. Cessation is the act of stopping, pausing, or discontinuing something. This word is made from cease. Cease means to stop, to halt something. It is commonly used in formal, legal, medical, or conflict related context. For example, there was a cessation of hostilities after the peace treaty. Synonyms: pause is a temporary stop. For example, she took a brief pause during her speech. Halt is a sudden or a complete stop. The army was ordered to halt at the border. Discontinuance is official or permanent stopping. The discontinuance of the service disappointed customers. Termination is a formal ending. For example, the termination of the contract was unavoidable. Interruption is a temporary break. There was an interruption in the electricity supply. Suspension is a temporary stoppage. The suspension of flights caused inconvenience. Curb is a restraint or control. The government tried to curb misinformation. Break is a short stop. Let's take a short break. Antonyms: continuation is the act of continuing something. The continuation of classes was announced. Beginning is the start of something. The beginning of the project was delayed. Commencement is a formal start. For example, the commencement of the festival was marked by fireworks. Resumption is starting again after pause. Resumption of flights was announced. Onset is the beginning of a sudden. The onset of winter brought snowfall. Initiation is the act of beginning. The initiation of the program was celebrated. Opening is the start of first stage. The opening of the museum attracted visitors. Continuity is uninterrupted continuation. The continuity of the project is essential. Progression is a forward movement or development. The progression of the disease was slow. Start is the beginning of something. The start of the journey was delayed. So this word is cessation, meanings: pause, halt, discontinuance, termination, interruption, suspension, curb, and break. And antonyms are continuation, beginning, commencement, resumption, onset, initiation, opening, continuity, progression, and start. Next, we have cheer. Cheer is to encourage, uplift, or make someone happy, to express support or joy. It is used for actions, words, and expressions that inspire happiness, confidence, and approval. For example, she tried to cheer for her friend after the disappointing news. Synonyms. Encourages her to give support or confidence. For example, the teacher encouraged the students to participate. Uplift is to raise someone's spirit. The speech uplifted the audience. Gladden is to make happy. The good news gladdened the family. Applaud is to show approval. For example, the audience applauded the performer. Exhilarate is to make very happy or excited. The winning the match accelerated the team. Comfort is to console or soothe. She comforted her friend in distress. Inspire is to fill with motivation. The coach inspired the players. Heartening is encouraging or uplifting. The results were heartening for students. Brighten is to improve mood. Her smile brightened the room. Boost is to increase confidence or morale. The praise boosted his confidence. Antonyms. Depress is to make sad. The news depressed everyone. Discourage is to reduce confidence. For example, do not discourage students from trying. Sadden is to make unhappy. The incident saddened the community. Demoralize is to lower morale. The loss demoralized the team. Dismay is to cause distress or disappointment. The decision dismayed the employees. Deject is to Deject is to make downhearted. Failure dejected him. Disheartened is to remove hope. Criticism disheartened the students. Dampen is to reduce enthusiasm. The rain dampened the celebration. Depreciate is to lower value or morale. For example, harsh feedback depreciates motivation. Aggrieve is to cause sorrow or distress. The injustice aggravated the workers. So this word is cheer, means encourage, uplift, gladden, applaud, exhilarate, comfort, inspire, heartening, brighten, boost. And antonyms: depress, discourage, sadden, demoralize, dismay, reject, dishearten, dampen, depreciate, and aggrieve. Next word is cherish. Cherish is to hold dear, love, or care someone deeply or something. It is used in emotional context, social or personal context, to express affection or high regard. For example, he cherishes the time spent with his grandparents. Synonyms: treasure is to value highly. She treasures the necklace from her mother. Value is to regard as important. We must value honesty. Adore is to love deeply. Children adore their grandparents. Esteem is to respect highly. The teacher is highly esteemed. Prize is to value as precious. She prizes her family's heirlooms. Heirlooms means inheritance. Rever is to honor deeply. For example, many people revere great leaders. Hold dear is to consider very important. He holds dear his childhood memories. Appreciate is to recognize value. She appreciates her friend's support. Care for is to feel affection and look after. He cares for his parents. Nurture is to support or develop with care. Teachers nurture students' talents. Antonyms: neglect is to fail to care for. The plants were neglected. Ignore is to pay no attention. He ignored the warning signs. Disregard is to treat as unimportant. She disregarded his advice. Abandon is to give up completely. They abandoned the old house. Forsake is to renounce or leave. He refused to forsake his family. Shun is to deliberately avoid. He shunned unhealthy habits. Spurn is to reject with contempt. She spurned the offer. Devalue is to reduce worth. For example, do not devalue your efforts. Belittle is to make seem unimportant. He belittled her achievements. Negate is to nullify or cancel. His actions negated the process. So this word is cherish. means try, value, adore, esteem, prize, revere, hold dear, appreciate, care for, or nurture. And antonyms: neglect, ignore, disregard, abandon, forsake, shun, spurn, devalue, belittle, and negate. What we have is chivalrous. Chivalrous means showing bravery, courtesy, and honor, marked by a noble or respectful behavior. For example, it describes actions or character combining courage, politeness, and respect. For example, he showed chivalrous behavior by assisting the elderly man. Synonyms: gallant is brave and courteous. The gallant soldier defended the country. Noble is honorable and morally good. She showed a noble attitude by forgiving others. Heroic is displaying great bravery. The firefighter made a heroic rescue. Courtly is polite and refined. He treated everyone with courtly manners. Valorous is courageous and brave. The valorous soldier was awarded a medal. Respectful is showing regard for others. He was respectful to his elders. Courteous is polite and well mannered. She received a courteous treatment. Brave is ready to face danger. The brave soldier entered the battlefield. Considerate is thoughtful to others. He was considerate to others' needs. Magnanimous is generous and noble in spirit. She was magnanimous in victory. Antonyms: cowardly is lacking courage. Rude is the cowardly soldiers fled from battle. Rude is impolite and disrespectful. His rude remarks offended everyone. Uncouth, this word is pronounced as uncouth. So, uncouth is lacking good manners. His uncouth behavior embarrassed the host. Dishonorable is lacking integrity. His actions were dishonorable. Selfish is concerned only with oneself. The selfish man refused to help. Impolite is not showing respect. It was impolite to interrupt. Fearful is lacking courage. He was too fearful to act. Mean is unkind or cruel. His mean words hurt others. Inconsiderate is thoughtless of others. For example, the inconsiderate driver caused inconvenience. So, chivalrous means gallant, noble, heroic, courtly, valorous, respectful, courteous, brave, considerate, magnanimous. And antonyms: cowardly, rude, uncouth, dishonorable, selfish, impolite, fearful, mean, and inconsiderate. Next, the last word of this video is circumlocution. Circumlocution. Circumlocution is the use of unnecessarily many words to express the idea, indirect or roundabout speech. For example, in literary, rhetorical, or academic or formal context, it is used to describe verbose or evasive language. The speech was full of circumlocution, making it hard to follow. She used circumlocution to avoid giving a direct answer. Synonyms: indirectness is a lack of straightforward expression. His indirectness made his intention unclear. Wordiness is the use of more words than necessary. The essay suffered from wordiness. Verbosity is an excessive use of words. His verbosity bored the audience. Prolixity is a tedious lengthiness. The lecture was criticized for prolixity. Diffuseness is a lack of conciseness. The report's diffuseness obscured. Windedness is excessive length in speech. His long-windedness made the meeting tedious. Redundancy is unnecessary repetition. The report contained redundancy. Evasion is avoiding direct answer. His evasion angered the press. Antonyms: brevity is a shortness of expression. Brevity improves clarity. Conciseness is expressing much in few words. Conciseness is essential in writing. Directness is a straightforward expression. His directness solved the issue quickly. Plainness is simplicity and clarity. Plainness avoids misunderstanding. Succinctness is a brief and a clear expression. His succinctness saved time. Straightforwardness is a clear and honest expression. Her straightforwardness earned respect. Economy of words is using only necessary words. The essay showed economy of words. Clarity is a clearness of expression. Clarity is vital for communication. Pithiness is concise and meaningful expression. His pithiness made the speech memorable. Explicitness is clear and unambiguous expression. Explicitness prevented confusion. So this word is circumlocution, means indirectness, wordiness, verbosity, prolixity, periphrasis, diffuseness, long-windedness, redundancy, evasion, and antonyms: brevity, conciseness, directness, plainness, succinctness, straightforwardness, economy of words, clarity, pithiness, and explicitness.